Hello everybody, so in today's video we are doing something, I'm not going to say a little bit different, I'm going to say we're going to do something very different. So, the big news to start the video is I've got a new hat, as you can tell. The special thing about this hat, I went all the way to France to get it. So, I have been on a visit earlier this week to France. I went to the Massey Ferguson factory in Beauvais. And we also got invited to the SEMA show, which again is near Paris. It's very near the factory, so it was like a 2-day, 2 events job. So I was very lucky to get invited there by Massey Ferguson and Chandler's, our dealer, and they took me and a whole bunch of other customers over there. So first day was the factory tour. Now this video is not really what I wanted to make, but it's the best I can do because in the factory there is no filming, no photographs, no nothing. So I wasn't able to take anything of the actual production line or any of that. But what I have got, what I will put in into this video is some pictures and some video of what is in the visitor centre. So there's a few old, there's a couple of old tractors, there's a few new ones knocking around, and a few little presentations we had while we were in the visitor centre, and some facts and figures from the factory basically. And what I'll try and do during the video is give you some of what I picked up in the factory, some what I noticed, and basically what I can tell you because there is no video of it. And then to follow up next week, next Sunday's video is going to be the SEMA show in Paris, so you could subscribe if you wanted to see that. So come back next week because it is going to be interesting and it's enormous. Let's just leave it at that. So I'll put some little voiceover bits into what I was able to take at the factory or at the visitor centre, and hopefully it'll be interesting.
Really, we've had to change a lot because we've had in the UK trains are meant to be on strike today.
We'll just go through a few quick facts that they presented to us at the visitor centre. So the site was started production in 1960. It has an output of finished tractors per day of 83, roundabout. It changes up and down depending on how the day goes. And since 1960, the start of production, 1 million tractors have come out of that factory. Now they told us for 2021, the 3 highest output models, I guess we'll call it, or most produced in 2021. So number 1 was the 5711M tractor. That's kind of the stockman's entry level lower spec machine. Then they built 951 of those units. Number 2, second place, was the 7718S Dyna 6 transmission. There were 600 of those built last year. And third place, the 7719S DVT, the Vario transmission, and they built 584 of those. So as we entered the factory, the first thing I noticed personally, coming off the production line, was a 7614. Now I noticed that because regular viewers will know we have one of those models. Now that surprised me because they have been out, not available in the UK for a number of years now due to the emissions tightening and all the rest of that. But there are countries in the world that do not follow those emission regulations. So that 7614 was destined for a country that doesn't have such tight emissions as we do in Europe. So that was something I noticed. So another thing that we saw in the factory, obviously everything is built on a constantly moving production line, and that production line needs to be fed with parts. So in that factory, running, keeping the production line fed, was a fleet of forklifts going always, picking up pallets and stillages of items to put on the side of the production line, ready for the production team to fit onto the tractors. And also, as well as those forklifts, there was little kind of tow vehicles with a train of trailers behind, little trolleys behind, with the lighter parts that could be wheeled on in trolleys to the production bays. So once a tractor has travelled down the line, obviously it gets built up, and they say the tractor is on the line for 9 hours, a target of 83 per day. So when the tractor reaches end of the line, obviously nearly enough the last thing happens, it gets oils and fuels and water, and it gets started up, it gets driven off of the production line. So they go through a wash bay, so into the oils, in the engine oil and the transmission oil, they will add a small amount of dye, tracer dye. Then the tractor will go outside of the factory, run up to operating temperature to get all the oils and the water up to what the temperature it would reach in a working environment. And then once it's warm, it comes back into the factory, goes in a special booth that is lit by UV light, and that tracer that they put in the oil, if there's a leak anywhere, the UV light will pick up on that coloured tracer in the oil. So that's why they do that, just to make sure nothing is leaking before it leaves the factory. And then it goes on to a final check bay before it gets signed off, and off onto a lorry. There we go. Like I said, it's not the video I wanted, but hopefully you get a little bit of an insight into what happens there. And I will say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, because next week it is SEMA show video, and that is going to be good. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.